Hey, what's going on, everybody? Will and Chris here at the Eagle's Nest presenting episode number 3 on our podcast. Topic today is going to be connections. As we talk about connections today, we're talking about connections because of this epidemic, this pandemic, okay, of this coronavirus. It is sad to see the panic through the society that we have. We go into the stores and there's toilet paper gone. How much toilet paper do you need? Are we actually thinking about other people?
I gotta genuinely say, probably not. I've seen videos on the internet of people fighting, literally fist fighting, yelling at each other. Store shelves are going completely bare.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, you have all of these people working very hard to keep the shelves stocked, right? And a lot of the world is just thinking of themselves, being very, very self-absorbed in this event. You have to be sympathetic towards the world to get sympathy back.
Oh, yeah.
And I think there's a very huge sense of selfishness and lack of connection to others, and there's no real empathy towards any other human being. People are running into these stores and basically stripping them bare, taking 18 rolls of toilet paper. I'll tell you what, I use about maybe 3 or 4 rolls a month. If that. Yes, I live alone, but what do I need to stock my carriage full of toilet paper for? To me, it just doesn't make much sense, and people are becoming very savage over commodities that there will be more of.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and that's why we're talking about the connections today. Because when you're scared and when you're fearful, you still need to think about other people.
Yeah.
I mean, I know me personally, having 2 kids, 2 babies too. I got 2 under 2. And yes, I'm scared. Yes, we're worried. But when it comes down to it, we have to just live our life. Do your social distancing. Don't go out as often as you would. Stay out of those crowded places. But you don't need, stock up a little bit, but still think about the other people. You don't need 5 sanitizers in your house.
Right. Not if you're using it diligently.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're using it as you should, that whole bottle will last you the month.
You need to think about our high-risk community.
Yeah.
Because it's essential. These are the people that are highly at risk for this deadly disease. Okay? And young people who are thriving are going crazy and not thinking about their grandmother's situation.
Right.
And that's who we should be worrying about. People with compromised immune systems. So we need to work in harmony. Don't just keep for yourself. Don't be selfish at this time. Because the worry comes from within. And it goes on that. Your attitude is going to portray through other people. So if you're feeling scared, emotional, it's going to portray onto other people.
Yeah, but also, Chris, listen, I think just because you have fear doesn't mean others don't as well.
Yeah.
A pandemic, you hear that word and it instills fear alone, and myself, I'm not too worried about this situation here, to be honest with you. I'm not taking it extremely lightly, but I don't think it's necessarily as high risk for me, right?
No.
So I'm not going to go and buy 5 cartons of eggs, let alone the eggs are going to go bad before I can use them.
Yeah.
There's no understanding from what I'm seeing that the world needs our help. People need our help. We have to have a genuine connection to these people Charlie's grandmother has no hand sanitizer, let alone she can't leave her house to go and even pick up toilet paper.
Yeah.
I feel it in my own duty. I need to be showing up at her doorstep with that hand sanitizer and toilet paper, not bringing it to my house for my own.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's a societal issue right now where people feel like it's me, 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 me. And
Yeah.
I've discussed that in the past through videos and writings. Your feelings do get involved in your connections, but it also portrays in your image to the world. When people see these people fighting on video, what's the first thought that crosses your mind? I don't have to say it for anybody, because we all know how foolish those people look. And unfortunately, that goes to basically every facet of life at this point, because people have access to social media. So not only does your neighbor think you look foolish, the world does.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we're all under a light when we do things to that extent. And we have to harness the connection. In times like this, a community should be coming together and saying, what can I do for you? I'm not at risk, but I know you are. Can I help?
Yep.
If not, stay home.
Yep. I mean, it's up to us to do the things for the high-risk communities. As being a young individual who knows I'm at a low risk to this disease, we should be helping each other.
Absolutely.
We should be going to the nursing homes and seeing what they need, seeing what they could do. Because that's where it comes in to working in harmony. And right now, with this pandemic, it's not in harmony. It's so out of sync and it's disgusting.
How many fingers do you have to point until you realize you need to point one at yourself?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's pointing a finger over here, and it's your fault. Does it really matter whose fault it is?
Yep. We need to work as a community, as a nation, as a world, and do the steps that it takes to make this go away.
Right. And that's
work as a unit.
That's where the connection comes in.
Yep.
Be transparent with the world around you. Come up with creative ways to help. Come up with, the ability to give back instead of take all for me. And I know I'm really harping on that one figure of the selfishness, but that's really all I feel right now in our society. And it's unfortunate because you can have no connection with the outside world if you're always worried about yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Positivity is harnessed when you're giving back. And unfortunately, when you think of just yourself, you can't have any positive thoughts, because then ultimately you do point a finger at somebody else.
Yeah. And
when you, sorry to cut you off,
No.
but when you assume responsibility for what's going on in the world, you can take on more of a stance on how to help.
Yeah.
When you're busy pointing a finger, you're not doing anything at all.
Definitely not. And this is where I have a note written down. It says, don't let your ego take control.
Sure.
And necessarily, that's what's happening right now. Everybody's so scared. What about me? What about me?
Right.
I'm this person. I have a family to provide for. I mean, if you're letting your ego take control and it's actually not showing who you are as a person, because if you let your ego take control, your connections are going to fall.
Oh, yeah, because people don't like to see that. You're supposed to be divine and transparent in your interactions.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be a genuine person, and that's where our mental mind comes in. There's a spiritual part to this. Whatever you believe in, a lot of people are acting ungodly. They're acting, basically, we could almost assume it's hell on earth the way some people are acting, and if you put a halt to that, and people have a genuine understanding that we're a unit. We're a unit. The human race is a living organism. We're a social organism. And the more you panic, the more you cause panic.
Yep.
And that it spreads. It spreads more. It spreads faster than this coronavirus itself. fear and panic, look at the state our society is in right now. And then just imagine how people that don't deal with this are looking at us as people as a whole.
Yeah. No, 100%. I mean, it goes to show your attitude is gonna affect, like I said, other people around you. So if you're panicking, everybody else is starting to panic just because everybody's panicking. But why? I mean, this is what philosophy is about. Why are we like this? And how much control are you actually letting necessarily the media or this virus control you?
And let's do a double take on that. What do you really have control over?
Yeah. No matter what. I mean, I always say trust the universe, right?
Absolutely.
And if this is God's plan, it's God's plan.
And
And there's nothing that we could do about it, and it will get fixed in time.
yeah.
This is where the patience comes into virtue, and that's why we have to do the steps it takes to social distance, to keep up with your hygiene, and lead by example, more or less. And this is where the connections come into play. Because if you lead by example, people are going to follow you.
I agree with you there, and that eliminates the why me mentality. When you're showing a strong stance, some people are pillars, and you need to be a pillar. Others are scared.
Yep.
You and I, we're not at high risk for this. So guess what? I need to be a pillar.
Yeah.
If my grandmother calls me when I leave here and says she needs something, I need to step in and do my part.
Yeah.
One, because maybe she's scared to leave her house.
Definitely.
I'm okay. I'm fine. But guess what? I'll go do my duties, and then I'm going to do my social distancing too, because I don't want to hurt anybody else in this world either. Just because I'm not at risk for anything to happen to me doesn't mean I can't carry this either.
No, definitely not.
It's unfortunately a sad situation that our society is going through right now, and unfortunately people are handling it the wrong way.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, because my aspect is that you haven't been prepared for something
Right.
like this, and now just because it happened, you might be even too late to be prepared.
Oh yeah, I
And
agree.
this is, I always talk about being prepared because it's essential. I have a getaway bag.
Yeah.
I have normally a stockpile of food. I always have water. And this is the things that you're going to need to do to survive. I mean, Boy Scouts taught me how to survive in a world where there is nothing.
Which honestly is a lost art in itself.
Definitely.
I think a lot of the commodities we take in society today, we take them for granted. We need to know how to live without the assistance of others. I mean, think about it. If, for me, I like to garden.
Yeah.
I love growing vegetables. I like to grow trees, and really, I have a green thumb. And that's a lost skill. A lot of people don't understand the importance of that. What if things do go under? I have a couple seeds tucked away just in case.
Yep.
So I'm going to go and plant my tomatoes. Guess what? I might be eating tomatoes for the next 3 months, but I'm going to be eating.
Yep.
It's a lost art. Our connection to the world, and we're discussing connections to people, but what about your connection to the world? What about understanding the functions of life? What about your connection to who you are as a core being? There hasn't always been cell phones. There hasn't been that instant gratification of the world being so connected, which is actually causing an unhealthy relation to everybody at this point. We're so connected that it's actually damaging.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to unplug from the wall and plug into outside. Understand what's going on around you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, for real. When it comes down to connections, I want to try to get off the topic of the coronavirus.
I agree. It's pessimistic.
It is. It's tough. I mean, it's all over the place right now, and but connections with others. And how to establish a good connection. It all starts with the I, the you.
Yep.
You need to be the real you. at all moments of every second of every single day.
It's transparency for you.
Because to try to be something else that you're not is not going to help you. And it goes into sending and receiving vibes. So when you're portraying something that you're not, you're actually sending out an unsure vibe. And people are going to receive that unsureness and take it. And they're not going to like it.
Or think of it this way. Let's say you do get that established connection, right? And you're portraying something you're not. You're also displaying expectations that you can't uphold as yourself.
Yep.
So if you do fake it till you make it, as they would say, and then somebody lays down an opportunity in your lap and says, here, take this and run with it, guess what? Your fire is put out immediately because you don't even know what to do with what was handed to you.
Definitely. Definitely. And that's about being in the present moment.
Yeah.
Live in the now. Because the now is what's going to establish you, the real you. Being at a standpoint, step back and look at it in the now. And it's a lost art because we're always thinking about the future and the past and what we could have done. But if you live in the now and wu-wei, think about it.
So just not to cut you off. So I had a reading this morning. It was from a meditation book written by Ryan Holiday. Okay. And it's funny you brought that up because listen to this. Were you to live 3,000 years or even a countless multiple of that, keep in mind that no one ever loses a life other than the one they are living, and no one ever lives a life other than the one they are losing. The longest and the shortest life, then, amount to the same, for the present moment lasts the same for all, and is all anyone possesses. No one can lose either the past or the future, for how can someone be deprived of what's not theirs? And that was written by Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor. And his point there is that all you have is this present moment. What you were just saying, living in the future, living in the past. Do you actually know who you are right now? Do you know what you can give to the world right now? Because within that, those are your connections to the world. When you're being transparent with the world around you and being the person that you are, which is the best version of yourself, you are actually understanding the moment you are in. Yeah. And you also appreciate that time that you have in that given moment. Opportunity only comes once. And if you're being false to the world around you, you lose that opportunity. I just think that we have to have a creative way to approach life. And we are all our own unique person, and we need to be aware of the moment in which we are living in now. So I'm really glad you brought that up. I'm really glad you brought that up because that's something I've been thinking about all day.
Yeah, because it is. You need to step back. Need to step back. Your karma is your karma is action, right? And your action to connect with others. So if you're trying to connect with others in a frugal and humble way, it will only be returned in a frugal and humble way.
Yeah.
But if you're attacking this connection in a negative way, and if you're not trying to establish a connection, then what are you really doing? As I say, I am me, you are you, and we are us.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's that's what it is.
So it all if you don't understand that, say it a few times. I am me, you are you, but we are us. Because my being is me, and I am the controller and the establisher of my creation. There we say, don't let anyone else write your destiny.
I agree with that.
And guess what? We don't do that. And Will, you are you, and you are necessarily the same thing. You are you,
I'm
and
well.
but in my eyes, you're just an illusion. And in your eyes, I'm just an illusion.
Yeah, we're basically just a collective of atoms in the physical world being portrayed through the eyes of the beholder.
Yeah. Of the beholder, as in me
Yes.
or you. I am me. You are you. But we are all of us.
So think of it, right? Tangible triumph. I'm the complete opposite of you. And that's why this works so well. Because you're willing to be yourself as much as I'm willing to be myself, right? And that actually brings it into the we.
Yeah.
If you're being yourself, you have something to complement the world with. Every interaction you get into, if you're offering yourself to that, you're committing yourself to a situation or a cause, you're actually helping.
Yeah.
But if you're putting on a facade and trying to bend the physical world to your own liking, that doesn't work. You need to approach things with a genuine connection. Plug into this moment. Understand who you are so that you can understand who somebody else is.
Yeah. Because connections create establishments.
Yeah.
And our connection, me and Will and I connected over time, 10 years, and it made this tangible triumph establishment. And it just because we were the real us.
Yeah.
And we weren't portraying anybody. We were connecting with our vibes.
And as different as we feel we are, right? And at each spectrum, things come together to a point where we're actually the same.
Yeah.
Because each message that you portray and everything that I discuss, we're getting to the same point.
Yeah, I mean, it goes to show we are all, not all, but most of us, I'm going to say 80% of the world, is trying to live the same life. But with that comes the facade of trying to be someone who you're not.
Yeah.
And that's why I always bring it back to I am me and you are you and we are us, because it's a fundamental to know the real you. You're gonna gain more through connections. You're gonna grow more through just becoming you. And then it's gonna just work in harmony.
I'm a huge networker, right?
Yep.
And I can bring that into the discussion as in I'm around a lot of people throughout the day. And technically, I can put an image out there and I can lead anyone to believe I am who I want them to, right? Mm-hmm. So I can put on this false image. But then if you turn around and do that, your established connection. I'm such a great networker, and I'm confident in saying that because I have a genuine connection with each and every person that I approach. I do my best. I don't want anybody to understand me. I want to understand them first. You know, and when you're making a connection with a friend, or if you're going into a relationship with your significant other, you want to understand that person just as much as you understand yourself. So if you already understand yourself, why even try and discover you through anybody else? I want to take in what you have to offer because I can gain knowledge, I can gain wisdom, and most importantly, I can make a genuine connection and create vibes that actually establish a real relationship with people. When I'm networking, I shake people's hands. I look them in the eye. I ask them how they are. How was your day? I have a genuine interest in who they are as a person.
Yeah.
And that's how you establish a solid connection. And then on top of it, I can bring you back to, I don't remember who said it to me, right? But if I take your business card and I tell you, yeah, man, I'll call you, whatever. And then I call you in 6 months and ask for a favor. Was that ever a connection?
No.
You need to follow up with the world around you.
Yep.
When you establish a genuine connection with somebody, you have to show them you care.
Yep.
I'm going to reach out to you every few weeks, see how you're doing. How are the kids? How's the wife? How's the family? Is the dog doing good? Because I know he was at the vet. You know what I mean? Just,
Yep.
Really, really, your memory retention plays a huge role in your relationships as well.
You ever heard of Charlie Chaplin's greatest speech?
I know who Charlie Chaplin is, but I haven't.
If our viewers and will, if you haven't watched this speech, Charlie Chaplin gave a speech, the great director speech, and it says, I'm going to quote it, "The airplane and the radio have brought us closer together. The very nature of these inventions cries out for the goodness in men, cries out for the universe's brotherhood, for the unity of us all. Even my voice is reaching millions throughout the world, millions of despairing men, women, and little children, victims of this system that makes men torture and imprisons innocent people." And what that takes from me is that I'm related to masonry, all right? I'm a Freemason, I'm a Master Mason. And it's a fraternity. But before the airplanes, before the radios, before the social media, the connection is what brought us together. So being in the oldest fraternity in the world, Freemasons, the connections are heavy.
It's deep.
And you need to be a reputable man. You need to have been the real you and have accreditations. As in, you need to have someone to vouch for you.
Right.
Okay? And so this social media, this phones, yes, it's so great, but how great is it actually?
Well, it actually removes the connection. I think it removes the genuine connection that you can have with somebody. Texting "I love you" and saying "I love you" are two completely different things.
Yeah.
And back to kind of your point to the Freemasonry, when you're living in the real world and you're focused on being a better person, you're establishing yourself within a community, right? Mm-hmm. And the community that you live within can either back you or shun you. That's the way society works. Yeah. And you can have lived a terrible life and keep on living that way. Or if you have made mistakes in the past, you can redeem yourself through your connections. Let me connect with the world again. Let me become a person again. Let me reach out to others and show the world that I am a good person. And with that, you can again establish yourself within the world. A lot of people reach a point where they think what they're putting out there on social media makes a difference. I look happy in my picture. Look, I'm doing great things.
But deep down inside, are they actually truly happy?
That's exactly where I was going with it.
So with the whole Masons, to gain connections, to become a Mason, you're gonna gain connections, because when you're a brother, any Mason is a brother.
Sure.
And we are treated like family.
Absolutely.
So if you don't have connections, what are you gonna go do? You're gonna put yourself out there. if it's joining Freemasons, if it's joining
Your local church.
group, church or networking group, the local YMCA. There's so many communities out there that are looking for more people to join.
Absolutely. And that's because of the lack of connection our society has today. Unfortunately, some of these fraternities or groups or communities are literally falling apart at the seams because people say they support something, but they're not actually participating.
Yeah.
So a lot of society is actually withdrawn from their participation of even establishing these establishments.
Yep.
Our literal physical establishments are falling apart because people are plugged into their phones saying that they care for something, but not actually plugged into the community. A huge part of connections is community.
Definitely.
You have to live a life of understanding, and you have to live a life that you are willing to give back. You have to be willing to give back to the world around you, and that means opening up your front door and getting out there and offering the world some advice or stepping up and taking the role of a leader, which I know you're discussing this week.
Yeah.
And some of us aren't leaders, but that doesn't mean we can't help the community.
But guess what? All right. On that, we're not all leaders, but guess what? You need to lead your life.
Absolutely.
So you might not lead a group of people.
Yeah.
But you need to lead your life in a right direction. Or in any direction. Stop standing still.
Yep.
Just move. Put in the work. Put in the effort. Have empathy for other people.
Yep.
Because that's the start of building a connection. You need to be able to have empathy and to be relatable. Okay? And your attitude is definitely a big thing on that too. Because if you're in a shitty mood all the time, no one's going to want to connect with you.
They don't want to be around you.
But if you have a nice smiling face, people want to be around you.
You know what we call them, right? Negative Nancy's.
Yeah.
Or Debbie Downers.
Debbie Downers, right? So put more goodness in this world. Stay the real you. If you're not if you're the real you and you show yourself through and through on day one of meeting someone, the connection will be there or it will not be. And then guess what? It wasn't in your plan to have that connection with that person.
Absolutely.
And
Or environment or community or, not everything is a one-size-fits-all track.
Definitely not.
It's trial and error. You have to try things to see if you like it. It's like seafood. Some people eat seafood, some people don't. It's not because the seafood did anything wrong. It's just we all have different taste buds.
Yeah.
So, if you go to your local YMCA and you're not into fitness, why are you there?
Yeah.
Or the Freemason fraternity, if you're not a people person, why are you there? It's just different aspects. And that goes into understanding who you are as a core person. Because then you could actually discover those areas where you do have something to offer. Okay, I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. But I like this. And then you go and find those people. Those are real connections. Real connections are tangible. Real connections you can touch.
Yeah.
Not send a quick group message to everybody in your phone book telling them hello. It just doesn't work.
No, there's no emotions behind text messages.
Yeah.
I read text messages with attitude.
Yeah, every time.
Every time. You can say, hey, and be like, you mad?
What do you want?
Are you mad? But it just, like I said, it always breaks it down to I am me, you are you, and we are us. It really does with connections. Because us as a world, we're all here together. High School Musical. We're all in this together.
Yeah.
For real, though.
You're right. You nailed it right on the head. And that's why things are falling apart, though, because everybody's pointing a finger at the next person. And it's like, again, point a finger at yourself. What responsibility can you assume?
But why is it falling apart? That's my question. The connection level and the portrayal that even that you see through movies, through television, is telling you to connect, is telling you what necessarily we should do. And these are like right in front of us. I watch movies and TV often because, it disconnects me through this reality. And it brings me to another reality.
It's therapeutic.
One show I'm really into is The Walking Dead. And when I'm watching The Walking Dead, I'm like in it. I'm like, Rick, no.
Where's the water?
Michonne, I'm in there. And they're talking about real life, not The Walking Dead in particular, but they're talking about real life situations and how to connect and how to react. So how are we so distant from it when it's all right in front of us?
I think that's a huge question to ask, and definitely a rabbit hole that we could jump into. And I think it really comes back to people being extremely selfish because we have this device in our hand. So, we think we know everything already. Why don't you ask Google? First of all,
Go watch Wall-E.
Yeah, right.
And this is what I'm saying. This is a kid's show. This is a kid's movie, but yet it's so deep down philosophical. You just need to see it. You need to look at it. Because this is like it's almost showing us
what could happen.
What could happen necessarily. I mean, side note, like The Simpsons.
They've predicted quite a few things.
They predicted an astronomical amount.
Well, you got to think, an artist is a philosopher.
Yeah.
A lot of these people, that's why The Simpsons has been around for so long, because these guys are so spot on with what they're making, and it all comes from the mind, but it's having a solid understanding of society as a whole.
They're 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years ago, they're talking about things that are happening right now. And I'm not going to touch base on the conspiracy theories on it, like the time travel, the this, the that.
It's
like
a government cover-up.
I mean, which it necessarily could be.
It could.
I don't know. I'm most likely not going to find out. But I could believe it if I wanted to. And I'm not going to watch The Simpsons just to find out what's going to happen in the future, because it's not, necessarily going to happen.
Well, it's not how this works.
Yeah. But take it into a accountability. Like, watching Hollywood movies, they're actually talking about real life situations, and it blows my mind into how I perceive it, right?
Perception's a huge part of connections, and you can have a pessimistic perception or you can have an optimistic perception. So if you're watching these movies, right, you could actually perceive it in a pessimistic way and say there's nothing I can do about this.
But they're telling you right there, right now, they're showing you that you could do something about it.
Right.
Movements start with one person.
Absolutely.
One man could change the world.
Look at all the spiritual teachings that are out there. No matter what book you read, it was one person who came up and said, "Hey, we need to do something about this. There's hunger in the world. There's genocide in the world. There's government control in the world. Whatever. You have this one monumental being that's coming out and saying, guys, get your shit together. Come together. Understand that we're a unit. We're a unit. We work together. When humans work together, we can develop such a great amount of things. Look at, for instance, the pyramids in Egypt.
Yeah.
That was the doing of men and women working continuously day in and day out, building some of the largest world's monuments. And if you look at the paintings on the inside, some people actually talk about that being the work of slaves. If you look at the paintings and hieroglyphs on the insides of these pyramids, these were great men and women making these hieroglyphics and whatnot. A slave would not paint on the wall a symbol that they wanted to carry through time just because they had to. And no, it's not just a wallpaper that you stick up and it's there. There was a meaning to every brush stroke and monumental stone put into its place. Yeah. There was a purpose for it.
Definitely. I'm going to touch base on this. In the 17th chapter of St. Luke, it is written, "The kingdom of God is created within men."
Yeah.
Not just one man, nor a group of men, but all men.
Yeah.
And that's not just men. That's women. That's children. That's anybody. The power of God is within you. Okay? And it's so through connection, if it's all in us, we need to unite. We have the power to create anything that's possible.
Absolutely.
We need to connect. Use your connections to make this movement happen or to make this society change.
We all need to be on the same page. It's like somebody that's full of light walking into the room. When somebody that is a positive person opens a door, I have a couple family members that when they walk through the door, right, that's somebody I ultimately gravitate towards.
Yeah.
Not they don't even have to do anything. They're just people I enjoy talking to because guess what? When the conversation is had, there's some value to it. I learn something every time I talk to these people.
Yeah.
But then on the same token, there's certain individuals who walk through the door where I say, I'm going to stay on this side of the room. Yeah. Because this is not, I just don't feel right. I don't want anything to do with it. And my question to the viewers is, which person do you want to be when you walk through the door? Because you can either have people gravitate towards you and have something to offer to the world around you, or you can be left alone by yourself.
Yeah.
And that's the connection that you make. And that's the person you put out there that you are. When I walk into a room, I smile. I look at everybody in the eyes and I smile. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. And I'm going to relate just so different books, different topics saying the same thing. I just read that from St. Luke.
Yeah.
But Buddha is not a one person. There's not one person who is a Buddha. We see that figure.
Right.
You think that's Buddha.
No, Buddha was a man who was a story.
A story, as
yes.
in anyone can become a Buddha.
Right.
Because it's an established enlightenment.
Nirvana. You reach the point of nirvana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there has been multiple hundreds of Buddhas in our life.
Yep.
Jesus Christ, the Buddha that we see, Mandela.
Yep.
I could name you a list of enlightening people.
Buddha Bob out of Battle Creek, Michigan. I practiced at a monastery for a while, so that's something I could relate heavily to. Yeah.
So it's like the connections are here for us to gain. And we need to gain these connections. And this is why we're talking about it today.
Because through connections, you can find yourself. And through connections, you can actually become the person that you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And through connecting with the world, you can change your entire life and who you are and where you're going to go. There's no one right path and there's no one right way to do things. But when you start connecting to the world, that's part of self-discovery and understanding who you are. Through the people you interact, you can find your interests. I've been reading Manly P. Hall, I've been reading Manly P. Hall, Secret Teachings of All Ages, and it dives into the fact that each and every teaching has the same meaning.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm doing this What's it break down to? I am me, you are you, but we are us.
Yeah.
It really does. And that's why I stick to that saying.
It works.
Because it works. Because that's the root cause to establish your connection. Be you. Do not be anybody else but you. And if you don't know who you are, let's find out today.
Absolutely. Take your journey, step out the door, and definitely start connecting with people that you have similarities with, or even people that have...
It's sudden enlightenment.
Yeah.
It's sudden. No matter if you've been studying this for 5 years or 5 minutes, it's sudden. You're gonna realize if you don't know who you are right now, it might take you 5 years.
Sure.
It might take you longer than 5 years. Some, you've been at a Buddhist community.
Yeah.
Some people get it within seconds. I'm that person. I got it in seconds.
Sure.
It took me legit 5 minutes to know who I was.
Well, and it's through that understanding with your standing within the world.
It goes.
The enlightenment part of it is a spiritual existence, and it's a connection to the spiritual world where you have that affirmation in your mind that life is what it is. I am me, and let's move forward, because without the understanding of yourself, you really can't do anything else in life.
No.
Because you're so focused on finding out who you are or pretending to be something you're not.
Exactly. So, this is a great conversation. Hope you liked it. Stay tuned. Visit our website, www.tangibletriumph.life. Check out our Facebook page. Our Sunday motivational recaps are all on there. So we do the podcast. We do motivational recaps every week. We do our daily motivational videos. So subscribe, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button so you don't miss any content. We do have an email subscription on our website.
Yep.
Of 3,000.
3,000. Probably a little more.
3,000 people. That's how many connections we make.
Yeah, and they're genuine connections because we get feedback all the time from the world around us on how people relate to the conversations that we have. And a lot of the conversations that we discuss, a lot of people aren't comfortable having those conversations because, unfortunately, some people are just lost. But if you listen in for just a moment, there might be something said that helps you along your journey throughout life.
And that's it. Tangible Triumph, presenting the Eagle's Nest. I hope you guys have a fantastic day.
Absolutely. All rivers lead to the same ocean. Just don't swim upstream. Peace.
Peace out.